Hello, 8th graders. In this video lesson, we'll be taking a look at assignment Y11 on IXL. That's the one called write a linear equation from 2 points. And here, we'll just go ahead and read the first problem. It tells us a line includes the points 1, 5 and also 0, 2. And our job is to figure out what is its equation in slope-intercept form. And so if I want to write an equation in slope-intercept form, I need to know two things. I need to know the slope, and I need to know the y-intercept. And Y11 is challenging because figuring out the slope and the y-intercept from just 2 points requires a little bit of work in math. We're going to switch over to a whiteboard right now. And on this whiteboard, you're going to see that we've written down the 2 points it goes through, 1 and 5 and 0 and 2. And I've set up some work. The left side of my whiteboard I'm going to use for step 1, which is finding the slope. If they only give us 2 points that the line passes through and they don't tell us the slope, we need to figure out first what is the slope. And then if you recall from Y10, once we know the slope and one of the points that the line goes through, we can find the y-intercept, the other piece of information we need. So I'm going to put this whiteboard into full screen. It has those 2 data points, 1 and 5 and 0 and 2. And my first job is going to be to measure the slope, the rate of change for this. So here you see slope. I have some notes down here reminding myself slope is rise over run, or rise is the y change, and the run is the x change. So weirdly enough, I'm going to actually measure the right side of this ordered pair, that change first. I'm going to measure how much does the y value change by. And when it goes from 5 to 2, the y value has lost 3 units. So I'm going to put a -3 there. And the x value goes from 1 to 0. If we're using the red one as 0.1, it starts at 1, then it goes to 0. That's gone down by 1. So I'm going to put a -1. And that tells me my slope, y lost 3 units, is x lost 1 unit, or -3 over -1. And as you recall from 7th grade, a negative divided by a negative always equals a positive. So -3 divided by -1 can be simplified to just be the whole number, or the integer, +3. Now we have half of our answer. We know what the slope is. And on this side of the whiteboard, I'm going to go ahead and take this 3 right here, our slope, and I'm going to plug that into our formula for slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. All I'm doing is replacing the m with 3, because we previously figured out the slope is +3. And now we need to know the y-intercept. I can take either of these data points, plug them into the formula, and some of you might be yelling already, Mr. Doherty, we already know the y-intercept is sitting here in the green data point because they told us when x is 0, y is 2. But to prove that, we're going to plug the second point in to check, is this really the y-intercept? Were they nice? Did they tell us the y-intercept was 2 at the beginning? And I'm going to check by plugging this in. I'm going to make the x value 0, and I'm going to make the y value 2. So taking this data point here, plugging it into the equation. The y value becomes 2, the x value becomes 0, and the rest of this equation is going to stay the same. So all I did was I substituted the 0 and 2 into the equation. We're testing, is the 2 really the y-intercept? And here we see 3 times 0 is just going to give us 0. So the equation can simplify to say the y-intercept b plus 0 is equal to 2. We know that really means that b must be 2, because 0 plus 2 is what will make that equation work. And here we see some proof, what some of your classmates might have seen already. Hey, the y-intercept here, IXL was nice. They actually told us the y-intercept. We didn't need to do that work from Y10. But good to see it work still. We're going to go ahead and plug those answers in now. We knew the slope was 3, and we knew the y-intercept was a +2. Okay, and for this next problem, same setup for Y11 the whole time. They're always going to give us 2 data points. And in this case, they tell us a line includes the point 3, 5, which you see on my whiteboard there. And they also tell us that includes the point 2, 1. So I've listed those 2 points on my whiteboard, just like you could on your piece of paper. And now my job is to figure out the equation in slope-intercept form. So again, if we recall those notes, my first job is going to be to find the slope for this y equals mx plus b situation, and then I'm going to use the slope to find the y-intercept afterwards. So we're going to put this whiteboard a little bit larger. And here we need to first measure slope. We're told the equation passes, or the line passes through 3 and 5 and 2 and 1. So the first thing I'm doing is measuring slope. Y goes down by 4. It goes from 5 to 1. It lost 4 units of value. And the X value goes from 3 to 2. That lost 1 unit of value. We could have gone the other way. It might have been easier if we went from the red point to the green point, because these would have both been positives, but we'll see in a second. -4 over -1 for the slope is just going to simplify to be +4 for the slope. Now that we know the slope is 4, I'm going to go to my equation, the y equals mx plus b formula, and I'm going to take this 4 for slope, and I'm going to plug it into the equation. Y equals 4x plus b. Again, we figured out slope was 4. That's how we got this first piece here. Now we get to choose. I can choose either data point, and I'm going to plug in one of these data points to help me find the b, the y-intercept. And in this case, I'm going to pick the smaller values. I'm going to choose the red one just because those numbers are smaller and I want to make my life easier. So I'm plugging in a 2 for the x, and I'm also plugging in a 1 for the y. So turn the y into 1, and when the y is 1, I know the x value better be 2. The rest of that equation is going to stay the same. It's going to still say 1 equals 4 times 2 plus b. And now I have the equation we need to find the y-intercept. I'm going to do 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So the equation can first be simplified to say 1 is equal to 8 plus b. Some of you already may know b needs to be a negative number here. 8 plus a negative is what's going to get us down to 1. And specifically, if we take 7 away from 8, that would get us down to 1. So that's how my brain kind of knows that at this point, I know b is going to be -7 because I know 8 minus 7 would get us to 1. And adding a -7 is just like subtracting. If you don't know that, the inverse operation, the opposite of a +8, is a -8, and that would cancel out the 8 that's on this side of the equation. And anything I do to one side of the equation, I need to do to the other. And we see more proof here. 1 minus 8 does make -7. More proof that b, the y-intercept, must be equal to -7. So now that we know the y-intercept is -7, we see this negative sign here. So I don't need to put a negative in. I'm just going to put the 7. And then recall that the slope was 4. We already knew that. That's how we work towards the y-intercept. And then that's our answer there. All right. That gets us to the end of this video. This is definitely challenging work. So if you've got any questions about this, if you want any math help with this, since Y11 is challenging and it may be helpful to have a teacher work through it with you, my email address, of course, is ddoherty3, and that's at bostonpublicschools.org. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Good luck as you work through this challenging assignment with Y11.